lucky here because you have gas and electricity all the time. And I was like, oh yeah, you take that for granted. And the NHS. Now, people have different opinions on politics, etc. But when I think back to my father and the treatment he went through, he never had to choose whether he had to pay for his treatment or make sure there was enough money left over for my family to live on. That's just one of the really small struggles that these people have come from. We live in the Western civilization. We live in a world where we gloss over everything that is not pretty. We might watch a bit of a sad film, or we might watch something a bit kind of like Reservoir Dogsy, and that's about as close as most of us come to that kind of thing. Even when it comes down to life and death. Babies this side of the world are usually born in a hospital. Now we're making a move towards more home births, towards people hiring a doula instead of going to the hospital and having a traditional midwife and doctor. But we don't really get our hands dirty with life and death. We're not all sat outside somebody's house listening to the screams. It's all shut up. It's all, you know, a woman's fat and then all of a sudden, there comes a baby. And it's very unmessy. The same with death. The people we love and we lose, they're just gone. They go to the morticians, they go to the funeral directors. They're all prettied up by the time we see them. So we never have to face death head on if we're lucky. Obviously, if you're not lucky, you do. But we don't sit with our dying. We don't sing them on their way like they do in so many tribes in Africa. And that has left us a little bit sterile and a little bit unable to cope with some of the things that we come up against. And so we layer over it.
Hi, I'm Max, I'm 20 years old, and this is Felicity. So I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race, like lots of queens nowadays do, and just really wanted to try it. So I spent a whole year practicing makeup, trying on outfits, and then about a year after that I started doing that, I decided I wanted to go out and try to perform, and I did. My first show went really, really well. I actually felt really, really confident about it. I used to do drama in GCSE and A-level, so being on stage isn't unnatural for me. I find it quite, welcoming anyway. So it wasn't so bad. I really, really enjoyed it. I find it really cringy to watch back videos of me performing, but it sort of helped me, I was like, oh, next time I do it, I know to do this and that. So it was really, really good. My biggest fear to do with drag was going outside in drag. I hate the thought of it. I still do. I don't mind it if it's like late at night, I'll be walking home from the club because there's no one around. But like if I had to walk through the streets in like broad daylight in drag, I think it would just make me feel really uncomfortable. Because we're still in that society where it's just sort of not acceptable. And I'm 6'5", so I'm not exactly hideable. I stick out very, very easily. So that feeling that everyone's looking at you is horrible to overcome, but sort of when you do, it becomes a bit more natural and you just sort of feel a bit more confident.
Thank you for coming out. This is a beautiful event. I was very happy to actually be asked to be a part of it. It's really nice to be able to talk about mental health and things that we don't really just mention in like coffee shop situations. We don't really talk about this sort of thing as naturally as we should. Human beings, we are like the only beings that can use the imagination effectively. We daydream, we dream, and we can actually create different realities. If Steve Jobs had the iPhone and was like, that'd be cool, and just sat in his room, and that was it. It was just an idea. Or what if great music writers, if Freddie Mercury, for example, maybe he comes up with a song, sits in his room and goes, yeah, that'd be really cool, that'd be a nice song. but never actually made it. It's a very wasted use of some equipment that we have. I mean, this is massive, and I don't mean my phone. I mean the imagination, the brain. It stores so much data, so many memories, and we can really use memories, ideas to really change the world. Like I said, I'm currently an owner of 12 different children's clubs, and I just want to speak to you a little bit about that. I am currently 21, and I run a business in where that it not only supplies me with a job, it supplies other people with jobs, and it supplies children with happiness. And I'm not here to just sort of go and gloat about that. The reason I bring that up is because a year before I opened it, I was in my room most of the time. I was kind of always drinking and really wasting my time with anything just to sort of give me a bit of a thrill. I thought it's not thrilling from a very boring area. There's nothing really to do, and that's why it kind of ended up that I had to create my own reality in that sense.
I'm now working with children that didn't have that secure start. They didn't have the relationships that they needed to be resilient. Even though I went through a trauma, a massive trauma, a life-changing trauma, my resilience was made bigger because of the relationships that I had. A gentleman called John Bowlby, who was a psychiatrist, psychologist, he focused on relationships and the importance of relationships for children and their main caregiver. And the research showed that children who were born and were able to have a mother who was not anxious, who got that eye contact with them from the start, that caused all these neurotransmitters and neurons all fire around the brain to be created, and that child would be secure. Now the children, every child that I work with is traumatized. Now their experience was often pre-birth where their mothers were either involved with domestic violence or with drug takers, alcohol. You know, you'd like to know their story and why they come to that. But the impact on the child was massive because it's all about the brain.
Hi, my name's Catherine and I'm going to be talking about my mental health story. I think I started experiencing mental health problems when I was about 12, although like my mum would say that it was much earlier than that. I was struggling with school and with my body image and with intrusive thoughts about myself. From 12 to 15 it just increased, so I started self-harming and engaging in behaviours to do with my OCD. I stopped eating. It was noticed in school, but they just kind of kept an eye on it rather than like taking action about it. And when I turned 15, I started attempting to kill myself and I started seeing mental health services. They did nothing really. So I saw them like once a week and it was just like I'd go there, cry and then leave. Kind of like stopped going to school during this time because I was finding it too hard to go into lessons and stuff. So I would spend most of my time in with like a pastoral support worker. She was really, really lovely and really helpful, but there was only so much she could do because there wasn't. I took an overdose in school. I had to be admitted to hospital for treatment. I was in hospital for a year, and during this time I probably improved in some ways and got worse in other ways. I was obviously kept safer, so I couldn't really like overdose and that sort of thing. But I started headbanging to the point where I was having multiple concussions and black eyes and like having to have CT scans. I feel like I kind of lost that year really. I know that like a lot happened in it, like I managed to escape hospital quite a lot. There was a lot of restraints and stuff and I was injected. It was pretty crazy, but like I don't see it as me so much really because It just feels like I was just completely consumed by my illness. I don't feel like I had my personality at that point. I started to feel like maybe I deserved to get better. I think I started to find my own reasons to live and things I was interested again. I think I gained back my personality, but also I was still definitely struggling. I still had episodes where I'd like overdose. I drank bleach quite a few times when I was there. I ran into roads to try and kill myself, so I was still definitely struggling. I moved back home and started to try and find things to do with my time. I probably still wasn't at the point where I could work, but I wanted to do something, and it was clear that I needed to do something because having a lot of free time just makes you like ruminate. So I started volunteering at a primary school, and I did that for about 2 months and really enjoyed it, and decided that that was the route I wanted to go down. I told the school that I was going to apply for apprenticeship, and they told me then that they wanted to keep me on, so they offered me an apprenticeship, which was really lovely because they obviously saw something in me which I don't think I expected when I started volunteering.
Well, that's all from me. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is just the notion that life is too short, and if you ever feel like you can't talk to someone, just know that you can, and there will always be people out there for you. And then just keep talking. I'm Sanko. Good evening. Life's too short.